King Jr. First, I want to say I love the work that you're doing as a reverend. It's really motivating how you can bring people together. My name's Brian from the CIA. How would you like to come and work for us? See, back when we freed the slaves, we thought they'd never figure it out on their own. Boy, were we wrong. These black people are actually more successful than the whites. We can't have that now, can we? See, they got their own barbershops, they got their own bus line, they got their own everything. So their black dollars are never ending up in white pockets. That's where you come in, Martin. How would you like to lead your people into slaughter for a couple of bucks? Listen, I know the church isn't paying that much. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna start the civil rights movement. You're gonna make these people feel like it's not fair that they can't go into white establishments and spend their black dollars. Now, there's gonna be some pushback, but you guys are gonna march peacefully until we're able to desegregate everything. That way, under guise, we can re-enslave your people. And then, Martin, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna get them all to vote Democrat. Yeah, I know. The same party that loves slavery. See, right now, we believe that the black family is only doing well because they have two-parent households. And they're sticking together. We're going to break that up. See, we're only going to offer welfare to families that only have women in the household. And women, just like they've proven time and time again, they're always going to choose the money over the man. Because that's why they're with them in the first place. Once we break up the black family, then we'll be able to route those black men right to jail, where we can enslave them again. Now, don't you worry, Martin. You're going to go down in the history books as a hero. No one's ever going to know that you worked with us. What do you say, kid? You ready to have a dream? Martin Luther King Jr. First, I want to say I love the work that you're doing as a reverend. It's really motivating how you can bring people together.
Yeah, that's right. We going late night tonight. I typically go live early in the day, and if I choose to go live later in the day, I try to do it around or in between 4 and 6 p.m. But tonight, I might not be able to catch most people, but we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight. I would like to announce that I have officially dropped part 2 of the Kobe Bryant Sacrifice Chronicles on Patreon. The link can be found in the description to the Patreon. I officially dropped it about an hour ago. It's about 40 minutes long. Go and check it out when you get a chance. Though that's for my Patreon members. As it pertains to the clip you just watched, shout out to the content creator, did an incredible job. So I keep encouraging people, go and check this out when you get a chance. Go and check out the documentary, arguably the best body of work on this channel. Link can be found in the description to the Martin Luther King documentary as well, because he did a great job of breaking down what I believe, what many of us in 2026, especially in the so-called black community, have come to believe about Martin Luther King Jr. For those of you that may be new, let me reiterate, because you may have never heard this before. I believe that Martin Luther King Jr. has done some incredible work. I think he meant well. I think behind the scenes, I think he was more like Michael King. I think he was putting the mic down, if you catch my drift. And FBI files corroborate that. Now, there's a lot of back and forth on if we trust the FBI files, because there was a lot of racist white people that ran the organization. But certain things are just irrefutable, especially when you have those around Mr. Michael King, or as we know him, Martin Luther King, when they are corroborating the same story as the FBI. So go and check this out when you get a chance. This documentary on this channel is about 2 hours. I think it's well worth the wait. Please hit the like button on your way in. Please hit the like button on your way in. Please hit the like button on your way in. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing a plethora of different topics, including Marjorie Taylor Greene. She went onto a podcast and she was asked about who she believes really took out Charlie Kirk. And while I have not been covering Charlie Kirk as much as of late, this clip was very interesting to me. So I wanted to give you all my thoughts, because she has been receiving a lot of backlash and a lot of pushback from people on how she decided to answer that question. And so I wanted to just give my thoughts. Stephen A. Smith is also going viral and making headlines because he absolutely went irate on a WNBA head coach, that is a woman's head coach, after she made some statements and wore some t-shirts, pushing this trans movement ideology. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get my thoughts on that as well. Before we get into that, since we're speaking about Mr. Martin Luther King Jr., Do you all know who Roland Martin is? For those of you that may not know who Roland Martin is, let me show you what it looks like. This is Roland Martin. Roland Martin, for those of you that may not know, is essentially he is the Officer Tatum on the left, right? In other words, he is a paid, platformed, people typically use the word shield. He has been placed into position to push the left versus right paradigm. And as we know, if you're on the left, your job is to push the idea that everything is sexist, racist, everything is rooted back to some sort of ism. If you're on the right, you are paid to push a completely different agenda. Swollen Martin. Bro, these names, bro. Y'all be coming with these names. Officer Tantrum, Officer Tatum, Officer Talmud. Bro, that's the new Al Sharpton, exactly. And surprise, surprise, as you look at this picture here by Mr. Roland Martin, if you've been following this channel long enough, then you probably should not be shocked. This person says Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Joe Kennan, Tucker are working on some right now. Apparently, I'm at least listening. Yeah, you're talking about the podcast that they put together, which I haven't checked out as of yet. I'm gonna get my thoughts on what I think about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, and the crew. But this hand sign here by Mr. Roland Martin, we covered this extensively. This hand sign definitely means something. We covered this extensively in my Shannon Sharp series. There's an upward pose that they'll do, and then there's a downward. Obviously, the upward pose is typically known as the rock by popularized by Jay-Z, but we know that hand sign has nothing to do with Jay-Z. All right. Somebody say bro, y'all got these legendary names, man. Well, anyways, I'm gonna put this on the screen so people can see what y'all saying. Anyways, Mr. Roland Martin is actually trending right now. And he's trending for all the wrong reasons. Because as I told you all, there are certain things that certain people have to do to get to where they are. Allegedly. So let's see why Roland Martin is trending right now. Oh.
So with a pause there. So with a pause there.
Nah, dog. Nah, dog. Dog. Nah, dog. Nah, dog. What you backing it up on? Nah, dog. This right here is foul, dog. You talking about zesty. You talking about dog. What is this? Dog, what is this? What is this? I have a lot of you all hop in my comment section and tell me, Didi, you don't know what you're talking about. Didi, you don't understand what fraternities are really about. I didn't say that everybody that joins a fraternity necessarily get down like this. Not what I said. But a lot of the rituals and the hazing rituals and the humiliation rituals that take place either above ground and or underground rituals, as you know, in fraternities, especially the Divine Nine, they have what they call above ground and then underground rituals. And a lot of time they are sexual rituals, right? And it is effeminizing, if you will, emasculating a lot of our men. And then a lot of these people are placed into position. Why are you dancing like this, bro? Do you identify as bisexual? Like you say, oh, a dance move don't make you, yeah, why are you dancing like this, bro? This is weird. I don't know if I'm more grossed out or more impressed that your knees are that strong. And yes, you will be correct. Roland Martin, or as they say, Swollen Martin, is absolutely Alpha Phi Alpha. He is Boule. What a surprise. All these people. It's like there's some sort of, I don't know, pipeline. It's like there's a pipeline to get to where they are. He said this person says they Kappa. Now he's Alpha Phi Alpha, which I believe was the same thing that Martin Luther King was as well. All right. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But speaking of Boule, speaking of Divine Nine fraternity members, let's talk a little bit about Mr. Stephen A. Smith. Somebody said he doing the old Boule bounce. Bro, crazy. Trending for all the wrong reasons. Let's get into a little bit of what Stephen A. Smith had to say about this WNBA coach who chose to wear a shirt saying that trans kids belong. And when I say he went off, he went off. And we're going to listen to him a little bit. Then, of course, I'm going to chime in.
I want to get to a subject that I will openly admit is going to be highly sensitive. Some people are going to try to politicize it. It's not about politics to me. It's a sports story. But I don't give a damn how you feel. I'm not running from it. And that involves the WNBA coach. Her name is Cheryl Reeve.
Look at this.
She's a coach in the WNBA. She is the coach of the Minnesota Lynx. And during this weekend, in a game against the Indiana Fever, she was seen wearing a Trans Kid Belong t-shirt.
What does that mean? Trans kids belong. But I'm going to hear just a little bit more before I go off.
I'm going to repeat that. Trans Kid Belong t-shirt on Sunday during the game following the remarks from Indiana Fever player Sophie Cunningham.
You delivered the work days ago. Your client paid, but the money between banks.
If you remember, this came after Sophie Cunningham defended her past statements on protecting girls from playing sports with transgender athletes. During an ESPN interview, Cunningham denied reports that she hates transgender people but wants to protect girls. If you remember, her quote was, "I think that I am here to extend love, but I also think with that love is truth, being honest. And I want to protect young girls in the locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men." On several occasions in the past, I've interviewed somebody by the name of Riley Gaines, who's a longtime advocate for biological men staying out of women's sports. Let me state for the record, I've interviewed Riley Gaines on at least 2 occasions. And I completely support Riley Gaines' position.
Well, before we get into Riley Gaines, or before we get into other things, let me just go ahead and speak on Riley Gaines since he's mentioned her. So Riley Gaines, for those of you that don't know, she is the female who has heavily grown in popularity since she competed against, I was going to Google it. What's the guy's name? The transgender in swimming. What's the guy's name? I'm sure many of you all will remember. What's his name? Here, let me look it up. His name is Leah Thomas. All right. So look, I'm gonna show you all how this typically works, and some of you won't agree, and that's fine. I've religiously talked about something called the Hegelian dialectic tactic that they use, and what they'll do is they'll create a problem, and within that move, within the chaos, within the confliction that's taking place, there are always going to be some sort of leader, some sort of movement, shaker and mover that's going to rise from the ashes, almost like a phoenix rising from the ashes, and they're going to be the face of a new cause, not knowing that the same people who are backing them or who will later back that person that rises from this cause is the very same people that funded and or started the problem to begin with. It's all by design. It's Freemasonic tactics, but let me prove that. Riley Gaines grew in popularity because she unfortunately had to compete against Leah Thomas, who was a biological man identifying as a female, and he pretty much smoked everybody, smoked all of the women in the Olympics. I believe that Riley Gaines came in maybe second, maybe third or fourth. She was one of the most outspoken individuals because a lot of the other girls were afraid. They didn't want to come off as bigots or fascists or hateful. She was the one individual that chose to speak up and say something. One of the issues is that since that has transpired, look at what Riley Gaines has become. She's basically a mega influencer. That's actually a Freudian slip, because not only is she a mega influencer, she is also a MAGA influencer by definition or by default. Not MAGA in the sense of she's just conservative. No, because she is just hopping onto a train. She's following marching orders, allegedly. We all know if you are conservative over the past, 6, 7, 8 years, you are more than likely MAGA as well, because that's the new form of conservatism. Being that Riley Gaines is a younger individual, she's just now stepping into politics by default through this movement, she has become this influencer. Why am I saying all of this? Because now Riley Gaines all of a sudden has become this huge voice in the political sphere. Never was in politics a day in her life. Now all of a sudden she has a voice and she's speaking out against people who don't believe Tyler Robinson took out Charlie Kirk. She's upset that many of us don't believe the Fed slop. She's going after conspiracy theorists, right? She's tweeting at people who are claiming to be America first, but they're against Trump. Weird things like that. Since when you don't even know what you're talking about, lady? You grew in popularity because you competed against a biological man and people felt sorry for you. As they should have. People spoke up and supported you. Now with your platform, with your influence, they use people like this to start new movements. Anyways, I'm digressing. Don't fall for that. You got to be able to watch out for stuff like that, because that's another way that they build careers for people. That stuff does not happen organically the way that we think it does. But I digress. This coach, let's go back to this image here. Trans kids belong. Well, we're going to see if they stick to that. But let's hear a little bit more before I continue.
Who's a longtime advocate for biological men staying out of women's sports. Let me state for the record, I've interviewed Riley Gaines on at least 2 occasions. And I completely support Riley Gaines' position.
And that should be a no-brainer.
Her resume speaks for itself. What she was as a swimmer. But I happen to also think she's a fantastic person to talk to, a highly intelligent young lady who's principled.
That is until you start talking to her about all things regarding women, and then we'll really learn how conservative she truly is. Because I've seen her on Piers Morgan, I've seen her tweet some things, and I'm like, oh, this girl is not who people think she is.
And the thing that shocks me is, like, this is not a conversation about being anti-anything. This is a conversation about being pro-girls.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, at some point in time, there has to be the return of common sense.
Right.
This is not about preaching hate. Nobody is supporting that on this show. Nobody should be supporting that in our society. I am a live and let live kind of guy. I'm conservative fiscally. I can't stand paying these damn high taxes in states like New York, New Jersey, and California. But I'm pretty damn liberal with everything else, meaning live and let live.
Oh, yeah, we know. Mr. Boule himself. Oh, we know. We know. Trust me. I make sure to repeat it every time I speak about you. However, I happen to agree with you on this. And this is what I want to say to people, because I don't think people understand this. It's not until you are in corporate America and working, and by all means, make no mistake, working in Hollywood, working for the WNBA, even as a head coach, working in the NBA, all those things is corporate America technically. It's not until you're in those spaces that you realize the pressure that many people are under, especially when you do not have a head job, a leadership position. It's very stressful in those moments as well, but it's completely different when you are working as in a subservient position and they are pushing these liberal, progressive, illogical, nonsensical, ungodly, disastrous, propaganda motivated policies, ideologies, and the likes. I've religiously talked about this many times on the channel before. I've been through it. I know what it's like. I got my master's degree and I stepped into a world and I was like, man, was I uneducated. I just thought people disagreed with policies about, like economic policies, race-based policies. Then you realize like they're having silly conversations about what the definition of a woman is. Women is claiming to be feminist. So think about that for a second. They're claiming to be feminist, which modern day feminism is not because they want equality with men, which they have. What they're really arguing for is they want to be superior to men. But in one breath, they're arguing that they're feminist. But in the same breath, they're arguing that biological men should compete against women. That's how much they care about women. They believe that biological men should be able to share bathrooms at the same time, not one stall bathrooms or one toilet bathrooms with a lock on it. We're talking about 4 or 5 multi-stalled bathrooms. Biological men should be able to walk into that bathroom with women. Their response, their reasoning for that is because, well, whenever you go to the bathroom, nobody's looking at each other. Huh? That's the best you got? Is that really the hill you're willing to die on? People go in the bathroom and handle their business and leave. Really? You don't think it's some lunatics out there that'll put a dress on just for the day because maybe they get to see a little extra cleavage today? They may get to get a sneak peek through the crack of the stall and actually gets to see some meow. You really put in that much faith and trust into strangers that they're not willing to do that? Really? This is the ludicrous that I was around. And I've already shared as best as I can, as safe as I can without violating any contracts, some of the things that I saw and I heard, and I was like, bro, I'm at the wrong organization. Bro, I'm in the wrong room. I'm in the wrong freaking room. How is this a conversation? Why is this controversial? You had a person on Twitter responding to Stephen A. Smith's video here, and they said, I think the name of the Twitter channel, the X page, it's called Political Punk or something. This person hops in the comment section and goes, transgenders are not biological. Transgender women are not biological men, Stephen A. You should know this by now. This is the person with a large platform. What are you talking about? And the fact that Stephen A. Smith has to sit here and say something along the lines of, this is not about hating anybody. This is about loving and protecting our women, our girls. He shouldn't have to say that. That's common sense. We all know that. It's those out there that are pretending that they don't know. Right? That's really what it's about. I told you all a week ago today, I went to an event and I ran into a guy that I used to know that I worked with in corporate America. I was really happy to see him. Really good guy. Does a lot of great work. And we're talking and he was like, what are you doing? And I already explained the story the other day. And I was telling him what I was doing. He was like, you still causing controversy? And I was like, what do you mean causing controversy? He's like, your channel. I didn't know that he knew about my channel. Nobody outside of my organization was supposed to know about the channel, but he knew, which tells me that they violated the contract and they talked about my podcast and they wasn't supposed to. I said, what do you mean? He was like, all the things you were saying. I was like, I didn't say anything controversial on my channel, bro. I said men can't be women. Am I lying about that, bro? Did I lie? He's like, no, you're not lying. I said, so how's that controversial? I said, I'm not working there anymore because they deemed what I said to be hateful. How is that controversial? He's like, well, I'm the type of person to live and let live. Why do you care so much about what people want to do with their life? See what they did there? They pivot. I didn't say anything about going out of my way to impede on how somebody else is living their life when they're not hurting other people. I didn't say that. If you want to identify as a flashlight, shine bright like a diamond. I don't care. Sit in your house all day and believe that you're shining bright like a diamond. That's not what we're talking about. I didn't say that I'm going and knocking on the door and say, hey, stop thinking and feeling that way. No. It's about when you're trying to make policies forcing other people to recognize that you are a flashlight. You can't force me to participate in your delusion. No, that's not how this works. You can't force me to do it. You can force me, and you should be able to, and society should not be forced to allow you to harm or place women or little girls into harm's way because you have gender dysphoria, which is a mental illness. It's not me teasing you. It's not me making fun of you for having it. It's a mental illness. It's always been classified as a mental illness, I believe, up into the DSM-5. Why is this an argument? Why is this controversial? I said, brother, I looked at my friend and I said, the friend that I came with, I looked at him, who is a so-called black man, and I was talking to a so-called black man. I looked at him, I said, bro, can you imagine so-called black men back in the 1950s saying this nonsense? Answer this simple question for me, brother. Can men be women? He was like, no. He said, listen, I understand where you're coming from. I'm a father. Would I vote for policies that allows biological men to compete against my little girls? No, but that's me personally. But I'm not everybody. What are you saying right now? I said, would you say that in a room full of people that you and I both used to work with? Especially if you work for them, would you feel comfortable saying it? No, you will be fired for saying it. And you know it. I looked at him, I said, do you believe in God? He immediately said yes. I said, no, you don't. What I mean is, do you believe in the scriptures? Like the holy scriptures, like the Bible? Do you believe in the Bible? He's like, yeah. But I also believe that, what do you mean, but? Do you believe that God made male and female, bro? Yes or no? Yeah, I do. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? You just agreed with 90% of the things that I've been saying on my show that was considered controversial, but you wouldn't repeat those things in front of them. Why? Why? Crazy. Absolute insanity, bro. It's making cowards out of people. But this is the point that I was getting to. You all don't understand the pressure in corporate America, bro. when they forcing this garbage down people's throats, predominantly led by women, white women, black women, or all together it's really women, predominantly white liberal women, right? As I believe that it's white women ideology, white liberal women ideology. You got majority women that's running this space. You got a small percentage of heterosexual men. You got another small percentage of heterosexual facing men who are really bisexual or homosexual and just have not come out the closet. And then you have a larger percentage of open homosexual men that's running these causes. As I've stated before, it's really, the movement is really about white people and the LGBTQ community. Has very little to do with black people. Why in the world is this controversial? But you claiming that you care about women. Absolute insanity, bro.
Until this issue came along. This is not about looking at people who are trans and hating on them or wanting to be denied their civil rights and civil liberties. That's not what this is about. If you're an adult and those are the decisions that you want to make with your life, I support your right to make those decisions. You're a trans individual and you transitioning from male to female, you ain't doing anybody any harm.
Right. As long as,
if that's what you,
as long as you are of age. If we're talking about if I can get this word out, irreversible or irrevocable decisions, children should not be able to do that. That's why they have parents and guardians. They make decisions for them. Once you are of age, live your life how you want, as long as you're not hurting other people. Right?
You were born, if that's what you believe, if that's what's in your mind, your heart, your psyche, and there's a means upon which to facilitate that transition without harming other people, have at it. I fully support the trans community in that regard.
But everybody does. Most people support that. Like, most people don't care what other people are doing in their life if it's not harming or impeding on somebody else's life. Most people, that's not controversial, Stephen A. But that goes to show you the circles that Stephen A runs in, that he even has to word it this way to try to get the point across. Bro, this is common sense, and it always has been.
Where you lose me is in two places. Okay? Number one, when you're talking about all your private parts remaining what they are as men and thinking that you get to use girls' bathrooms. I'm not down for that. Number two, when you're trying to compete against women, against girls in women's sports, trying to act like there's no advantage when there's no way in hell that there's no advantage.
Exactly. And I want to show you all something. This is about to blow you all's minds. Let me show you all something that I found. Like, because they'll tell you, well, if they go through puberty, if they have puberty blockers, and if it's a long enough period of time, then it takes away muscle mass, and they're not as fast. They're not as strong. Let me show you something. The bone structure is still completely different. The stamina is completely different. Let me show you something. I gotta find it first. Hold on. If they so woke, which is what they call it, woke. We know the term woke used to mean something completely different. So if they care so much, why don't they allow this person? Bro, look at these arms. Do you see that? Hold on. I'm going to make sure you see it. Bro, look at these arms. That's not close enough. I need you all to see this. Bro, look at these arms. That's a man identifying as a quote-unquote woman, a transgender female. Look at those arms. Need I say anything else? What are we talking about? So if they so quote-unquote woke, if they so progressive, if they so inclusive, look what it says here. This was just yesterday. A transgender player has been dominating France's second-tier women's basketball league, and now the WNBA question is front and center. Julie Tattart averages 21 points and 20 rebounds this season while sweeping Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Domestic Player of the Year honors after a record-breaking campaign. When asked whether she joined the WNBA for team call, Tattart responds, "I won't say no." Bro, are you kidding me? Look at that. Look at this person. At this point, I'm cheering for it. They want to treat it like a joke. At least let us get some laughs out of it. Exactly. But let's go to there's a video clip. Look at this. Oh, no. You're not finna copyright strike me. Look at this. Bro, look at that. Look at the head size, the neck mass. Look at them arms. I don't care if he's dunking or not. If they so quote unquote about it, how about y'all draft them? Including this coach that Stephen A. Smith was just reacting to. Draft this person right here. You all about it, right? Averaging 20 rebounds is crazy. How do you win every award? Averaging 20 and 20 is crazy. Look at them shoulders. All you got to take is just, man, you got to hit one of them females in the chest in one post move. You're going to send them straight to the floor. You should be averaging 40. 40. Go, baby. 40. 40. Yeah. Tattart came out as a trans in 2021 is 6'3" and averages 20 rebounds per game. Insanity. Insanity. But it gets worse because I want you all to take a listen to what one of the players had to say. And this is why we need more real men in leadership positions. Not these soft liberal men who don't want to hurt people's feelings. Real men. It is our job to lead society. Men. And I'm going to show you one of the biggest reasons why. This is what happens. As we know, most women are liberal by default. Typically, when a woman turns out conservative, of course, you always have your exceptions to the rule. But typically, when you have a woman that turns out conservative, it is because of the influence of the most influential man in her life, whether that be her father, her brother, her husband, her boyfriend, her fiance, her preacher, her pastor, right? Etc. Let's listen to what this player here had to say.
That article.
Fevers, that's an NBA, the WNBA team for those of you that don't know. The Fevers, they have a player named Sophie Cunningham. She speaks ahead of the Portland Fire game. Let's listen to what she had to say.
It was written in February, and like I said, I still stand by what I said. I'll never go back on that. I think this is a great opportunity for the WNBA.
By the way, this is who I believe this is who Stephen A. Smith referenced earlier, and her position was that she is taking up for women and protecting women, right? As I believe her official position was that she don't believe that biological men should compete against women in sports. Now listen to what she's saying here.
Never go back on that. I think this is a great opportunity for the WNBA. They preach diversity and being inclusive, so what a great opportunity for them to actually be that. And so we don't always have to agree. We can still be kind. We can still thrive and be successful in the same area. And I think that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I have been doing.
What do you make of these rallies that have been going on for the last few games?
Yeah, I have honestly had nothing to do with them. I think it's people just practicing their rights of, freedom of speech and doing what other fans have been doing since the WNBA has started. And so props to them, props to everyone who's able to be confident and be bold and courageous enough to speak their truths.
What is that truth?
For who?
Just
For who? That. What does that mean? Let's run that back real fast.
Has started. And so props to them, props to everyone who's able to be confident and be bold and courageous enough to speak their truths.
what is that truth?
For who?
Somebody. Anybody. What does that mean? Speak their truths. This is the issue, bro. This is the issue. We have people out here. Many of them are women, but it's not just women. Many of these men out here co-signing it, saying that people can have their own truths. That makes no sense. We all share the same truth. That's the truth. We all share the same truth. What you're talking about is somebody's opinion. But what they're doing here is they're coming up with phrases like this to make sure that everybody feels seen. Make sure everybody feels heard. Make sure everybody feels valued. Make sure that everybody feels right in their own way. No. You can say things that are not true. It's just that simple. You can be mistaken. So maybe you thought you were telling the truth, but once you're presented with the facts, you pivot, you change, you move on. Instead, you got people like this. She asked her, she said, what truth is that? She said, for who? What do you mean for who? You don't get to change the truth for different people. You don't get your own truth. You get one truth. How is this a conversation? This is the freaking problem here. And then they'll sit there with so much confidence and feel like they've said something so philosophical. Oh, that's the beauty of having your own truth. No, there is no your own truth. There's only the truth. Let's figure out what it is. Especially when it comes to biology. There's only one truth. Your chromosomes dictate what you are. Not what body parts you have today or tomorrow.
Just what do you think that truth is when you say that you support them coming to this rally or creating these rallies? Like when you say you support them living their truth or speaking their truth, what do you mean?
Living their truth, speaking their truth. If I've never heard a more feminine statement in my life. That's like the most inclusive term ever. Your truth. Well, that's your truth. Nah. Nah. I don't have my own truth. I'm not that special. And neither are you. You don't get your own truth. This is a rejection of God. Remember, God is truth. When you eliminate a chain, like it's the same thing when they say love is love. Right? No, God is love. Love is not love. God is love. They're changing and they're trying to remove God as much as they can in this society, and it's working. And it's being reinforced by these quote-unquote celebrities.
By that,
I think it's different for everybody. I think your
No, it's not.
truth is different than my truth.
What? What does that even mean? Press her a little bit more. The surprising thing here is that it's a woman talking to her. Press her a little bit more. What do you mean by that? How can my truth be different from your truth? If you were to ask her that, and she was to actually give you an example, which she more than likely would not, she would say something along the lines of, like, your truth would be, you don't think I had a great basketball game. My truth is that I believe I did. Huh? That's opinion. Yeah, your truth. That's not what truth means. Stop just using words that have their own meanings, and you're not using it properly. You're just recreating the meaning of words.
Which is different from hers, his, hers, all that. And so
What?
I think anytime people...
Look how she sounds so confident and so professional, like she's really educating some people. Everything she just said was complete foolishness. Was complete Looney Tunes.
Different from hers, his, hers, all that. And
No, it's not all
When you
that.
say
Well, what does that mean?
you support them living their truth or speaking their truth. What do you mean by that?
I think it's different for everybody. I think your truth is different than my truth, which is different from hers.
And that's your problem. You're thinking. Stop doing it. Respectfully. I know that's not the nicest thing in the world to say. Stop it.
His, hers, all that. And so I think anytime people are bold enough and courageous enough to stand by what they believe, I think that's awesome.
Sophie, is there any fear that you're causing a distraction for the team?
No.
Why not?
Because I think at the end of the day, I come in and I do my job. I think everyone who knows me personally, they know that I'm full of love. I'm bubbly. I love the people around me. I love basketball. I love inspiring the next generation and doing that in a positive light. And so that doesn't even cross my mind. It doesn't cross my teammates' minds. And again, I'm here to play basketball.
All right.
But I'm
Because you would know what crosses your teammates' minds. Got it.
also here to be me, and I'm not gonna shadow that or hide or dim my light just because maybe people don't agree with that.
Foolishness. Just complete foolishness. That was Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes. And people are afraid to speak up and say something nowadays. You got Stephen A. Smith. He'll come on his backup YouTube channel and talk about it. But I don't know, bro. Society is changing so fast, and they're just forcing this Luciferianism on us, because that's all it is. It's Luciferianism in nature. I have a video called "The Open Secret About Gender Ideology, the Binary Agenda, or the Non-Binary Agenda," something to that effect, that I dropped like 4 years ago. You can find it on Patreon. I would highly encourage you all to go and watch it. And if you're on YouTube and you're a member on YouTube, I would encourage you to go and watch it on there as well. It's well where I go into the history of how we got here. The individual who was heavily influenced by Aleister Crowley, I forget his name. I can't remember his name at the moment. But he did these research on these twin boys, and he lied about the results of what he found. He changed the quote-unquote gender or the genitals of these little boys, and the parents approved of it. But it turned out he was actually doing some unthinkable things to these kids and these babies. Both brothers end up unaliving themselves much later in their life, but not before they revealed what actually happened during these experiments, which turned out to be all lies. As far as the findings, what this researcher clientele found about gender and what it really means and how fluid it was. I would highly encourage you to go and watch it. If you all remind me, I'll try to link that in the description as well. But speaking of women, I want to show you all something else. This is going to be related to the Charlie Kirk ordeal. I want to talk about this. Before we get to the Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's talk a little bit about this. But first, let me find this guy. This guy right here. A lot of you all know who Nate Valhalla is, or Valhalla. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of these people who, again, gets heavily supported by the algorithm repeatedly. Maybe not every last one of them, but majority of them, I'm suspicious of them, because the algorithm is just not, it doesn't work like that. I watched the algorithm. I watched some of the biggest truth tellers over the past 15, 20 years, leave YouTube. They can't even properly make content on YouTube anymore. Even the ones that have since come back in the last couple of years are struggling to even make a name for themselves on YouTube because the algorithm just does not support them. And they do some of the best work I've ever seen. Yet you have a lot of other people that just thrive. They make very extremely simple reactionary videos, 300,000 views, 200,000 views. That's weird. That's weird. Very, very weird. They claim to be truth tellers, heavily supported. That's weird. So, shout out to Honest Ash. She says here, nope, nope, nope. Mitch has been put through hell by an abusive court system, wrongfully arrested by claims with zero evidence, has never laid a hand on a woman or a child. This is all a paid smear campaign that he still fights to this day, and Nate has made this situation worse. I've already made a video about this guy. I'm not a big fan of him. We work on evidence, not believing all women. If we live by the laws of Nate, we wouldn't be questioning Erica Kirk, would we? Nate is a piece of you-know-what for his role in this. This isn't him apologizing for being wrong and falsely reporting on whoever this is. I believe this is Mitch Snow. Yeah. This is him making excuses for it like you see the word there. These quote-unquote military men are pissing me off 10 ways from Sunday. So we're going to get to this. He's having a conversation with the character here, Elizabeth Lane. Like I say, bro, like, I know a lot of you all love Candace. I don't hate Candace. I've supported a lot of the things that Candace has been doing. But I'm also an honest person. And what I say is Candace is obviously one of the biggest influencers in the world. Any given day, she's probably number one. She gets heck of support from the algorithm. And one of the things that I know come with people that are typically of that size, of that caliber, are handlers, are people who are behind the scenes directing them. Am I stating just that I know this about Candace Owens for a fact? No, I am not. I don't know that for a fact. But I'll tell you what I do know is that most times, based on what I've conducted, the work that I've conducted over the years, I've consistently seen this. What am I getting at here? This person here that he's talking to is a woman by the name of Elizabeth Lane. She's since interviewed Candace. You don't get to do things like that with a person of that size by mere happy stands. I just don't believe it. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. So I find it very suspicious that she got interviewed on Candace. I also find it very suspicious that she's since been on Tucker Carlson. These are not just everyday people. These are not just everyday sized followings. These are millions and millions of people that it's not that simple. Yeah, I haven't watched Nate in a while. It's probably hard to suppress your sexuality and lying like that. So now he's drinking and drinking and drinking. I see what you're getting at. I don't know if the man is like that or not. I don't know, but this is what I will say. This clip right here was infuriating. So let me stop running my mouth and let's listen here.
Maybe we can get in talking about why, some people thought that I was going after Candace a long time ago with the Mitch Snow thing. Everybody on my content knows that Nate is very, very visceral.
Dog, like, for those of you that don't remember, people like this is why maybe I'm not meant to be a content creator, because you're supposed to play nice. That's what they tell you behind the scenes. Play nice with people. Oh, don't say this about this person. Oh, don't point out this about this person. I can't help myself. I love Candace's work. I love the work that several people are doing. But is it wrong for me to say out loud, I think Candace Owens' thumbnails are strange. I think when you're talking about if your friend really was assassinated and we're trying to figure out what happened to him, why are you having these very bubbly thumbnails with these very, you have the captions on the thumbnail that's referencing song titles, and what is it? Why are you so possessed with me? Like a reference to the Mariah Carey song "Obsessed with Me" featuring Gucci Mane. Like, that's weird to me, because isn't this a serious matter? Why are we having these super fun, these super bubbly thumbnails? Is it wrong for me to say that? Yeah, you're not supposed to say that. Otherwise, you're the bad guy. I'm be the bad guy. This dude right here thinks that we forgot. I made a whole video dedicated to this guy. I need to link that in the description because it was months ago. He made a whole video going at both Candace and Mitch Snow. And it's not that I'm the Candace Owens protector, as I've been critical of her, but he's made videos literally going after Mitch Snow because he didn't deem him to be credible. He didn't like that Mitch Snow was saying that he saw Erica Kirk certain places. He dropped some evidence that spoke to, like, what is it? He dropped a video of Mitch Snow supposedly with a hammer in his hand in his garage. What does it have to do with what he said he saw at Fort Huachuca? Or as Andrew Wilson said, Fort Huachuca. The Chaka. Yeah, I don't know if this is supposed to be like you agreeing with it or not, because I don't. I think it's weird. So anyways, this Elizabeth Lane character, remember, Candace out of nowhere started to share her. And that's typically how things work. I'm not saying Candace has done this, but I've seen this over time. People will organically come across a post and then they'll read it on their large platform. They claim to not know the person. Cool. Maybe that's true. And then down the line, they'll find something else about that person. Then they'll mention that person's name. You see what they're doing there? They're plugging that person. They know that their audience is going to go and check that person out. They're helping build that person's platform. And then eventually, sure enough, after enough traction, you got Elizabeth Lane featuring Candace Owens in an interview together. Why am I saying that? Why am I sharing this? Because now we got Elizabeth Lane in a conversation with this guy, Nate, who is lying and pretending like he didn't make a whole video going after Candace, which he absolutely did. I showed proof on my channel and I debunked everything that he said. He also went after Mitch Snow. Why is he sitting here pretending that he didn't do that? He did. Elizabeth Lane, who claims to be a supporter of Candace, I think she should have said something there, but she didn't. Maybe she doesn't know. I don't know.
With protecting women and children, I am. And if
wait, say that again.
Time go with the Mitch Snow thing. Everybody on my content knows that Nate is very, very visceral with protecting women and children. I am. And if I come across somebody that has a background of domestic violence, it's just an automatic no-go. All these fucking guys out here that are attacking you, attacking Candace, just attacking women in general. I think it's the most pathetic shit in the fucking world. You'll never see me do that. I make it very, 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 very clear on my channel. There is only one woman I attack. I'm not sure if we can call her a woman, and it's Laura Loomer. That's it. Other than that, on my channel, you will never see me going after women. You'll never.
Okay, this was the most infuriating part of this entire clip. What did Peter Griffin say on Family Guy? You know what grinds my gears? You know what really grinds my gears? Is men that behave this way. So he says here, one thing you will never see me doing is going after women. What does that mean? He said all the men that's going after you and Candace, what are you what? First and foremost, sir, define going after women. You have to define that for me first. Because if you're calling going after women, holding women accountable in the public sphere, if you call that going after them, we got a problem. What do you mean going after women? Are you simply meaning disagreeing with the woman in public? Is that going after women? If a woman did something not only wrong, but she did something criminally wrong, and she's doing it in public, and you prevent her from doing it. You address her. You say something about it. Are you saying you're not supposed to do that because she was born with a vagina? Help me understand what that means, because this is the most simp statement I've ever heard in my life. What do you mean by you don't like it when men go after women? Let me ask you something. Do you believe that women are human beings? What do you mean? Do you believe that they're human? Why can't women be corrected and addressed like men can? Why? Do you believe there's some other species? Do you believe that they're... Here's a better question. Do you believe that women are subservient? Right? Do you believe that women are subhuman? Right? Should we treat them like a dog? Like, what do you mean by that? We shouldn't hold them to the level and the standard of other humans? That's why I want to ask men like this. Here's the biggest question I really want to ask men like this. Men like Nate. Are you a believer? That is, do you believe in the Most High? Do you believe in Jesus Christ? Do you believe that Jesus Christ is God? Do you believe that he walked this earth? Do you believe that he is who he claimed to have been? Why am I asking you that? Because men like me are traditional, right? We hold the traditions of old, right? We believe in the scriptures. So if you believe the scriptures and then you're saying things along the lines like God, man, woman, child, that's the natural order. If you're saying something along those lines, then I would understand when you say, hey man, maybe you should be a little bit more softer, more gentle when you approach women. Be more of a gentleman. Some men, some people will even go as far to say, real men don't argue with women. But when you are a person like Nate, who some of you are claiming that he is a Christian, I find that hard to believe. I don't even think he's conservative. I think he's more liberal leaning, because people forget this Charlie Kirk investigation has brought so many people from so many different directions. Ballistic experts, gun experts, Green Berets, military, Marine. We don't know what their politics are. Their politics was probably the exact opposite of Charlie Kirk's, but they're just helping with the investigation. This guy is a woman pleaser. There's nothing wrong with wanting to please your woman, but there is something wrong with when you're so delusional that you don't even think that women should be corrected when it's necessary. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Man, that's infuriating.
No go. All these fucking guys out here that are attacking you, attacking Candace, just attacking women in general. I think it's the most pathetic shit in the fucking world.
What do you mean? Like all the cursing you're doing is such a distraction. I think that's just meant to come off like you're so passionate and to make you look like so much more like a man. It doesn't. It doesn't, bro. We see through it. Stop speaking vaguely and generally saying just attacking. What do you mean by that? Well, I agree that a lot of the people that's going after Candace, and Candace in particular, I haven't followed this person here as much. Particularly for trying to figure out what happened to Charlie. On the surface level, I don't agree with it. Like the Ben Shapiro's, the Matt Walsh's, the Officer Tatum's. I agree with Nate on that front, but I don't agree that they shouldn't do it because she's a woman. The platform size that she has, she's extremely influential. Who cares about her gender? I care that they're doing it, and I don't like that they're doing it because they're wrong. Because I believe they're being disingenuous. What the world does her being a woman have to do with anything? Do you think that women should do wrong in public and nobody should say anything to them?
You'll never see me do that. I make it very, 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 very clear on my channel. There is only one woman I attack. I'm not sure if we can call her a woman, and it's Laura Loomer. That's it. Other than that, on my channel, you will never see me going after women. You'll never see me going after content creators. I might criticize Erica Kirk, but in fairness, my channel knows I defended Erica Kirk for months.
Talk with me,
which is complete. I don't know if that's something to brag about, buddy. That tells me you are not to be trusted. Much like how I was upset and I just couldn't understand for the life of me how Candace went for however many weeks it was pretending that she didn't see anything weird with Erica's behavior. And what is it? She said she thought that Erica's memorial speech at Charlie Kirk's memorial was, what did she say? The quote, most consequential speech she's ever heard before. Just complete lies. Like, no, it wasn't. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad acting. It was very suspect. All the things. Here he is saying the same thing that he defended Erica for months. There's no way you went months without seeing all the red flags from Erica Kirk. There's no way. She made it too easy.
Almost daily, and he's actually a really great guy. So it's probably about you and Mitch and Candace. So here's the thing. The reason I reached out to Nate is to figure out what happened with this whole thing, right? Like, I wanted to know what side he was on in the beginning, before we knew each other and before we got to know each other and all that. So I had my doubts about Mitch. Nate was not the only one. I went to Alex Jones' show to protect and defend.
Alex Jones show. How is this woman in this? See, that's the weird stuff I talk about in these circles. How does a person like this just tweet something? It goes mega viral. All of a sudden, she's on Candace's show. She's on Alex Jones's show. She's on Tucker Carlson's show. She's on this guy's show. How? How? I feel you are reading too much into this. No, I'm not. But thanks, though. That does not happen by happy stands, people. It just doesn't.
Candace, I said, Candace is conducting an open source investigation. These things will happen. It expects mistakes. This is just how it is. So it's crazy to me that CNN, BBC, and all these channels are lying flat out every week. No one holds them accountable, but one thing Candace gets wrong, one thing, and all hell breaks loose. So I said, I don't know about Mitch Snow. He's weird. I actually changed my mind afterwards because of how they reacted to him. I was like, the reaction was just unreal. So I was like, I don't know exactly what's happening with this guy, but I'm willing to believe him just because of the reaction these people are having. You know, it's just they lost their minds. But Nate had similar thoughts like, hey, could this guy be like a plant? Could this be like a diversion? So he was actually looking out for Candace.
And I got the same question about so many of you.
So yeah, we don't think Mitch is a bad dude. No, we never said that.
Yeah, not a big fan of the guy. That was very disingenuous, very, very disingenuous conversation. Again, we're going pretty late tonight, guys. I know I'm not going to be able to catch everybody, but that's okay. He's talking about Elizabeth, Leah, Brandy. People are actually threatening to unalive these women. They're doxing these women and posting the show. Okay, so yes, I understand that perspective, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree doing it to anybody, let alone women, for sure. But that's not what he's talking about, respectfully, Rain. What he said was he don't agree with people going after them, and he'll never do it. And then he gave an example by stating, because he never even talks about women. The only woman he'll talk about is Laura Loomer. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But let's get to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't want to make this live too long. I know it's super late. But let's get to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And let's see why she has been under fire. So let's see. Well, the caption here says, who unalived Charlie Kirk? Let's zoom in here a little bit. Who unalived Charlie Kirk? I asked Marjorie Taylor Greene who she believes is responsible and why she's skeptical of the official narrative. Let's see what she had to say.
Who do you think killed Charlie Kirk?
I have not waded into that because Charlie was someone I considered a friend and I really care about him.
Does that make sense to anybody? Who unalived a good friend of yours? Oh, I haven't considered and weighed into that because they were so close to me. I don't want to hurt the feelings of the friends and family of the guy who unalived them. How does that make any sense? Does that make any sense to anybody? Let me be clear. Huge fan of the things, not her as a person, because I don't know her as a person. I'm only a fan of Jesus Christ. But the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said, I have supported it. I've also stated I'm skeptical. I know she stepped out of Congress, I believe, in January of this year. I'm skeptical. What do I mean by that? I'm skeptical because her, Thomas Massey, now you got what? Joe Kitt, all saying great things that we all agree with. But I also know that these people can be taken out whenever. It's just the truth. I usually talk like this on Patreon, but it's the truth. I'm not saying that everybody who speaks against Trump and speaks against the quote-unquote deep state will automatically be taken out, but that's typically how a lot of these things work. And a lot of people are aware of that unless they've been told or given the green light to speak out for whatever cause, for whatever reason, or maybe it's organic. But before I digress, I'll say that I've agreed with the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been saying over the last year or two. I think she's been spot on. But isn't it a bit strange that all of these people with huge platforms, some of the biggest influencers, and by influencers, I don't just mean like content creators, Marjorie Taylor Greene is extremely influential based on her notoriety, her connections, her positions that she's been in. That a lot of them are refusing to give their takes on what truly happened with Charlie Kirk. Isn't that strange? Her and Tucker Carlson are in the same boat. Very, very strange.
Yep.
I also think about his family. Gosh, I think about his mother often because I have kids that are, between 23 and 28. And I always think to myself, my God, what a horrible thing that his family has to endure.
What does that have to do with the questioning that he asked you, though? All right, let's run this back. It's only 30 seconds.
Who do you think killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a pretty straightforward answer. And even if you don't know who did it, the question is, who do you think? Who do you believe? What do you mean you think about his family? What does that have to do with anything? I'm not following.
I have not waded into that because
that's weird.
Because Charlie was someone I considered a friend and I really care about him.
Yep.
I also think about his family. Gosh, I think about his mother often because I have kids that are, between 23 and 28. And I always think to myself, my God, what a horrible thing that his family has to endure. But I will be honest with you. I very much think Tyler Robinson, getting the two different ones mixed up. Tyler Robinson, of course, I think is involved in some sort of way, obviously. But I am very much compelled by the lapel mic stories. I'm also a gun owner, and I've shot a 30-06 multiple times, and I know the damage that bullet does.
I don't think Charlie Kirk was unalived with the bullet, and that's even if he was unalived altogether. I'm still sticking with that, and I'm not sticking with it out of stubbornness. I'm sticking with it based out of what I've seen, based on the evidence that I've seen presented. I still think it's possible that Charlie Kirk is alive. If Charlie Kirk was even unalived with the microphone, I'm still trying to understand. I do believe his shirt did some really weird things. I don't deny that at all. I think it's a very compelling theory, but I would imagine that the shirt would have blew up, ripped, some sort of red liquid would have. It doesn't make enough sense for me. In fact, when you compare that to maybe a fake blood package underneath Charlie, I think that's more compelling. It would explain why his shirt did the weird thing, but there was no hole. There was no explosion from his shirt. Also, if Charlie Kirk was ever actually hit with anything, why was there no splatter anywhere behind him? Stop it. Even if it's a small splatter. If it was a 30-6, bro, it would have been a huge splatter. Everybody behind him. Somebody behind him most likely would have gotten shot as well.
And
it's not even there wasn't even a splatter on anywhere behind Charlie. That's usually what happens when a person is shot.
So it's hard for me to go along with the traditional narrative. And I also, I think there's more there. And I think the investigation seems to have been held back. And I don't think we have the full story.
Understood. I just want to kind of, I guess, make a point on that to close out all of this. And then, and I'm not asking you to agree, but I feel like I need to say it.
Yeah, I want you all to pay very close attention and listen to what this guy has to say as he's wearing the white and black for duality. I don't know who this guy is. It says the Brandon Straka show. He's giving zesty vibes. He's giving he's giving very zesty vibes. Like he spends an hour and a half getting ready in the morning vibes.
As we in the conservative movement are divided on just about everything these days, and we're divided on
look like he has lip fillers as well.
This we're divided on Charlie Kirk. And I'm generalizing here. It seems like the split is happening. MAGA, America first. I think MAGA is not really objecting to the narrative of what we're being told about Charlie's murder.
Isn't that very interesting? Isn't that very strange? The fact that we can even separate it down those lines, I think is very revealing. Because I would agree with Brandon here. That's exactly what it seems like. Those that are claiming to be America first, but they're Zionist, there it is. That's the one thing that seems to separate everybody. Isn't that interesting? And he lumped himself, if you caught that, he lumped himself into the MAGA category. So I think we should know where he's about to go with this.
Is happening, MAGA, America first. I think MAGA is not really objecting to the narrative of what we're being told about Charlie's murder. America first is asking a lot of questions and expressing a great deal of skepticism.
Right.
I want to say this because I want people to understand, that I'm very much my own person.
Sure. Right. Sure. Something tells me whatever you're about to say is going to lead us to believe that you're probably not. How did you get Marjorie Taylor Greene on your show if you're your own person?
I think America First is making a mistake here. And the reason why I want to express this is because the trial is, unless he takes a plea, in all likelihood, I hope he goes to trial because I hope as much evidence comes out as possible.
Should all be public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that when we see the evidence, I believe it's going to be pretty irrefutable that exactly what happened. And I don't think it's going to be what a lot of people on the America First side think that it is.
That's a very... Did you all hear what he just said? That's a very... You would only make a statement like that if you have seen everything yourself. That's like a Fed statement to make. Have you seen something we haven't seen? That's a very, very assumptive statement to make. How do you know that? How can you be so sure about what? How do you know that, bro? That's wild. That's a very, very bold thing to say. If the director of the FBI said that, I would understand. Who are you again? How do you know that?
And my concern is that we have a lot of energy right now. And
yeah, this guy is definitely on the other side. I think he plays for the other team for sure. No heterosexual man is speaking like that, but I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I'm going to focus.
I believe it's going to be pretty irrefutable that exactly what happened. And I don't think it's going to be what a lot of people on the America First side think that it is. And my concern is that we have a lot of energy right now and a lot of momentum, I believe, especially going into 27 and going into 28, to possibly create something new and build some real change in this country that is sorely needed.
Oh my goodness, bro. I thought you were your own person. You still believing that Donald Trump is here to save the world. Why do you think that there's a split in the conservative movement right now? Oh, it's Candace Owens' fault. It's Thomas Massey. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene. How dare they notice that Trump is not holding true to what he campaigned on, his promises, which is just like every other president in the history of this country. Campaigning on something, not keeping their word. You believe that some man is about to come into office, fight against what those who really run this country want to be done. He won't be taken out, and he's going to change the direction of this country. You really believe that? Oh, I think it stopped. That was kind of weird. Hold on, let me try to get this playing again. Hold on one sec. Okay, I think we are back up and rolling, everybody. Dude, what's up? You were literally just playing. I know what to do. I'm going to trick it this time. I'm going to start playing it before I even share the screen.
About it is that we have a lot of energy right now and a lot of momentum, I believe, especially going into 27 and going into 28, to possibly create something new and build some real change in this country that is sorely needed. And I would hate to see some of the best voices that we have right now be discredited in such a tremendous way.
Bro, some of the biggest voices being discredited because they are presenting and researching and presenting the research to the public and getting a lot of the research and a lot of the evidence from the public and just crowdsourcing, right? You're saying they're going to lose credibility because they're going to point out real legitimate inconsistencies that are irrefutable. However this trial ends, it's not going to change what people found along the way. How was that losing credibility? Stop it. You're lying. That has nothing to do with it. That's one of the most disingenuous things a person can say.
And so I would like to encourage people to be thoughtful about that. Because
what does that even mean? Be thoughtful. That almost sounds like a polite threat. Be thoughtful. What do you mean by that?
Again, not asking you to agree, but in my opinion,
sounds like you are. Why are you constantly repeating that phrase? Normally when people do that, that's their way of saying, like, please agree if you do this. Now would be the perfect time.
This is one that I think a lot of people are going to get wrong, and I think it could have some far-reaching consequences about people.
Consequences is a strong term. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't.
Credibility.
Yeah, I just haven't waded into it. However, it is
Very weird. You and Tucker Carlson seem to take the same position. Very, very strange.
There's just a lot there that's very questionable. The way his team reacted so quickly, pulling out SD cards, just going around collecting so much equipment and evidence as Charlie Kirk is bleeding out.
Shout out to you. Shout out to MTG for at least stating that. I would totally agree. Let's see what Brandon has to say to that. What does the host have to say to what you just said?
And then paving over the area literally 2 days later. There's just a lot of
You have opinions. Come on.
I do. Well, I'm saying they're questionable.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm not on social. You won't find me on social media debating these things.
Understood.
Because guess what? I wasn't at the crime scene. I wasn't there. I wasn't an eyewitness. I'm not in the courtroom. So I'm not saying that I'm an authority on the matter, but I do question a lot of things.
But that's what the rest of us are doing, though. Like, that's literally what we're doing.
I think it'd be ridiculous for anyone to not question at this point.
Well, Brandon just told you what each side is doing. He said MAGA has pretty much accepted the narrative, and the quote-unquote America First side are asking a lot of questions. That should tell you, the audience, and the rest of us everything we need to know. And the fact that he's not even responding to just a few very odd behaviors from his team, that the few things that you just pointed out, he didn't even respond to that. That should tell us all we need to know.
Where we are in our history, to not question things is, I would consider that unintelligent. But you know what? I was one of those people early on. I'm like, I'm not getting the vaccine. This is bullshit. We shouldn't be shutting down our country for COVID. I was one of those early people fighting on all those issues. So it's in my nature to question things.
It's in most people's nature to question. It's in human nature to question things, right? It's called instinct. It's called reflex.
Ironically, Brandon,
which I support.
Yeah, and pretty much everything I've questioned has turned out to be right about.
They call us conspiracy theorists. Our pronouns are I told you so. Merch is in the description.
What I questioned it about.
Fair enough. I hope you're all enjoying the brand.
Oh boy, you way too close to the camera. Men who swing that way typically tend to do this. Bro, you're too close to the camera, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. I know. All right, y'all. I'm tired, man. Let me get some of these super chats. Y'all have in the comment section, though, and definitely let me know what y'all think about that clip there. Thank you for the 2 jewels. Tara. Silver Star. Appreciate you again. Laughing Disco. Not sure what that means, but thank you. Thank you for the 200 jewels. Miss Elaine. Thank you for the $10, Miss Elaine. Gina. What's up, Gina? Thank you so much for the $50. I'm late, but I'll always have much love and many prayers for you and yours. Dee Dee and everyone here. So much love and prayers for all of us. Thank you so much. Always mean a lot. Let me know, Gina, what you think about part 1 and part 2 of that Kobe Bryant series. I had to pivot a little bit for part 2 because of the LeBron James news, but the next one that I drop is going to be crazy because it's going to actually delve a little bit more into Kobe Bryant's death and what Kobe Bryant was getting into. So I'm going to dig back into the details about that. So definitely let me know what you think about parts 1 and part 2. Thank you for the gold coin, Miss Elaine. All right, y'all. Means a lot tapping in with you all. Was able to get about 300-400 people in here. 10 o'clock at night. Not too bad. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the video. Please hit the like button. Goes a long way. Hop in the comment section and give me your thoughts. Remind me what I promised to put in the description. If I promised to put something, I think it's the Nate video I did. Let me know if I left anything else out. Pray for everybody mentioned in this video, as I always say. I'm Demetrius. I go by Diddy. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Diddy got a podcast. Attitudes and our work ethic become very important in realizing our goals and opening up possibilities. I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with a recent graduate at UCA. And his story, is really fascinating. It's one of overcoming homelessness during his time pursuing his degree, first at a community college here in Arkansas, and then finishing his bachelor's degree here at UCA. His narrative ranges from estrangement from family for many years to a hopeful reunion with mother and siblings. His record is one of overcoming odds in a way that I probably could not, and certainly demonstrating levels of tenacity and patience and optimism that I can only marvel at. He wanted to talk with me about his new job and his career path going forward. I really need to be there to learn from him because that's where the real value was.
Everything I say in this video is alleged. Allegedly.
No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Y'all can just repeat after me. I really appreciate it. Alright. No such thing. Come on, we can do better than that. Talk to me. Now let's start it over. No such thing as a life that's better than yours.
You're worse than the rich white people or the rich white Jews that own these record labels, because they don't even understand these populations. You have a lot closer relationship to these people, and you're leading them to hellfire. You are leading them in the wrong direction in the name of getting rich and famous. How dare you?
Oh, yeah. Diddy got a podcast.